In some parts of the world, a wild animal will walk up and hand its offspring to the very creature that spent the last 10,000 years hunting it to near extinction. It is a biological contradiction that should not exist. If you follow the strict rules of evolution, any mother that chooses to approach a high-level predator with her most vulnerable asset, her baby, should be removed from the gene pool immediately. Nature is supposed to reward caution, suspicion, and a healthy sense of terror. Yet, across the globe, we are seeing a recurring mystery that defies every survival instinct written into the DNA of the animal kingdom. We are seeing dolphins lifting tangled calves toward fishing boats. We are seeing feral cats depositing litters on the porches of specific, quiet humans. We are seeing elephant herds presenting injured juveniles to park rangers. This isn't a series of cute accidents. It is a cold, calculated mystery that requires a detective's eye to solve. We have to ask why a mother would decide that the most dangerous species on the planet is somehow the safest option for her child's survival. To find the answer, we have to look past the heartwarming videos and dig into the evidence of a psychological shift that is happening right under our noses. This is an investigation into the strange, desperate, and deeply intelligent reasons why animals are crossing the most dangerous line in nature. Our first lead in this investigation starts in a place most of us find familiar, our own front doors. This is the first version of the threshold, the physical and psychological line between the wild world and the human world. Feral cats provide some of the most consistent evidence for this behavior. Biologists studying urban cat colonies have noted a recurring pattern where females, who normally avoid human contact at all costs, will suddenly cross the threshold when they have a litter in trouble. They don't just pick any human. They perform a long-term surveillance operation. They watch which humans are predictable, which ones move slowly, and which ones provide resources without demanding interaction. Researchers in 2013 found that cats have a remarkable ability to create a social map of their environment, categorizing humans not as people, but as safe spots or danger zones. When a mother cat brings her kittens to your porch, she isn't looking for a friend. She is utilizing a safe spot she has been scouting for months. This is the first clue in our mystery. Animals are capable of performing a multi-generational background check on us before they ever show their faces. They aren't trusting humanity. They are trusting a specific, vetted individual who has proven they won't cross the threshold with aggression. But this raises a massive problem for our investigation. This lead suggests that animals are making logical, data-driven decisions. But what about the stories that feel more like instinct? That brings us to our first false lead. The Disney myth. There is a common belief that animals have a sixth sense about human goodness, a magical ability to see the purity in someone's soul. As much as we want to believe that a wild deer can sense a good person, the evidence suggests something much colder and more interesting. Evolution does not give out prizes for being sentimental. If an animal approaches a human based on a vague vibe, and that human turns out to be a hunter, that animal dies. The pure soul theory falls apart the moment you realize that animals approach scientists, hunters, and random tourists with the same frequency. The truth is that animals aren't looking at our souls, they are looking at our utility. They are crossing the threshold because they have run out of other options. In the wild, if a baby is dying of a fever or trapped in a net, the mother has a 0% chance of fixing it herself. The human represents a non-zero chance. It is a gamble, not a spiritual connection. If we move our investigation from the porch to the open ocean, the mystery gets even deeper. The threshold here isn't a door, but the surface of the water. Marine biologists like Dr. Diana Rice, who has spent decades studying the cognitive abilities of dolphins, have documented cases of interspecies cooperation that look an awful lot like a cry for help. Dolphins are among the few creatures on Earth that possess self-awareness, famously proven by the mirror test. This intelligence allows them to understand a concept that most animals can't grasp, the idea of a specialist. When a dolphin brings a calf tangled in a nylon fishing line to a boat, she is demonstrating an understanding that humans have tools she does not possess. She sees the threshold of the boat not as a place of danger, but as a workstation where a specific problem can be solved. This is a massive leap in logic. It requires the mother to suppress her millions of years of predatory fear in exchange for a gamble on human technology. The clue of the tool user suggests that animals aren't just watching our behavior, they are observing our capabilities. They know we have magic hands that can cut lines and heal wounds, and they are willing to risk their lives to access those tools. This leads us to a second, more haunting clue, the avian witness. If we want to understand how this trust is built, we have to look at the work of John Marsluff at the University of Washington. Marsluff performed a now-famous study on crow recognition. He and his team wore specific, dangerous masks while capturing and banding crows. Years later, those same crows, and even their offspring who had never seen the masks before, would dive-bomb anyone wearing the bad mask. But they remained completely calm around neutral or good masks. This tells us something vital for our case. Trust and fear are inherited. The threshold of safety isn't just something an animal learns in its own lifetime. It's a piece of information passed down from mother to child. When an animal brings a baby to a human, they might be acting on a case file that was started by their grandmother. The threshold has been open for generations. This explains why certain populations of animals, like the elephants in the Amboseli National Park, seem to know exactly which ranger vehicles are safe to approach with an injured calf. They have a collective memory of the threshold, a library of human interactions that tells them when it is time to ask for help. However, even with inherited memory and an understanding of tools, there is still a missing piece to the puzzle. Why would a mother risk it? Even if her grandmother said the human was okay, the risk of being eaten is still there. To solve this, we have to look at the clue of the triage brain. In medical terms, triage is the process of deciding which patients need help most urgently when resources are limited. When a mother animal is faced with a dying baby, her brain enters a state of high-stakes triage. Biologists have observed that in moments of extreme distress, the brain's fear center, the amygdala, can be overridden by the parental care system. This system is powered by oxytocin, the same chemical that creates the bond between human parents and children. In 2015, a study by Miho Nagasawa showed that when humans and dogs look into each other's eyes, both experience a massive spike in oxytocin. This chemical bridge allows the mother to temporarily ignore the predator label we carry. The threshold isn't just a physical line, it's a chemical one. The mother's brain essentially decides that the potential death of the offspring is a greater threat than the potential aggression of the human. She is making a calculated sacrifice, betting her life to bypass the threshold and reach the only entity capable of changing the outcome. This brings us to the most complex part of our investigation, the humanist safe haven hypothesis. This theory, explored by researchers like Adam McCloskey, suggests that certain highly social animals view humans not just as tools or food providers, but as proxy parents or supergroup members. Because humans are so dominant in the landscape, we have become a permanent fixture in the mental maps of wild animals. We are like a giant, slow-moving force of nature. To a deer or a fox, a human is a strange, unpredictable mountain that sometimes drops food and sometimes drops fire. But for the most intelligent species, primates, elephants, and cetaceans, we are something more. We are a safe haven. In psychology, a safe haven is a figure you return to when you are afraid, even if that figure is also someone you fear in other contexts. This is the ultimate reveal in our mystery. Animals aren't coming to us because they love us. They are coming to us because we have become the 911 system of the natural world. We are the only thing in their environment that has the power to intervene in the natural order of death. When an elephant mother stands by her calf and waits for a ranger, she is essentially calling the police. She has recognized that the human exists outside the normal rules of the jungle. As we move toward a verdict, we have to address the mirror of the threshold. We've talked about how the animals see us, but we haven't talked about how we see them. The mystery of why they bring their babies to us is only half the story. The other half is why we actually help them. From an evolutionary standpoint, we shouldn't care. A dying dolphin calf is just more protein. A stray kitten is a competitor for resources. Yet, humans are almost unique in our drive to provide alloparenting care for offspring that aren't ours, and aren't even our species. This is the leaky instinct. Our own drive to protect anything with a high forehead and big eyes is so strong that it spills over into other species. The animals have noticed this. They have spent thousands of years observing that when they show us something small and suffering, our predatory nature often shuts down and our caretaking nature turns on. The threshold is held open from both sides. We have trained them to trust us by being consistently soft in the face of their vulnerability. We have accidentally built a reputation as the planet's emergency room, and the animals are simply using the service we provided. But there is a dark side to this verdict that we have to acknowledge if we want the full truth. Not all animals cross the threshold. This behavior is almost non-existent in areas where humans are active hunters or where habitat destruction is at its peak. This tells us that the 911 system is fragile. It is a social contract that has to be renewed with every interaction. If a mother brings her baby to a human and that human reacts with violence, that case file is updated for the entire social group. The threshold closes, and it might stay closed for decades. This brings us to the clue of the urban buffer. Animals living in closer proximity to humans are the ones most likely to develop this triage behavior. They have had more data points to suggest that we are safe. In a strange way, the more we encroach on their territory, the more we force them into a relationship where they have to rely on us. We are destroying their natural support systems while simultaneously offering them an artificial one. It is a cycle of dependency that is built on the ruins of the wild world. The final piece of evidence in our mystery investigation is the veracity of the sacrifice. When we see an animal hand over its baby, we are seeing the ultimate act of submission. In the wild, submission is a survival strategy. When a wolf shows its throat to a dominant pack member, it is saying, "I am not a threat, please don't kill me." When a mother brings her baby to a human, she is doing something even more extreme. She is showing us her baby's throat. She is saying, "This life is in your hands, and I am powerless to stop you." It is the most profound form of communication possible between two species. It bypasses language, it bypasses culture, and it gets straight to the core of biological existence. The reason they do it isn't because they are acting like humans. It's because they have correctly identified that, in that specific moment, we are the gods of their world. We have the power to decide who lives and who dies, and they are making a desperate prayer that we choose life. This investigation has led us from the simple porch of a suburban home to the complex social structures of the deep ocean and the African savanna. We have dismissed the myth of innate goodness and replaced it with something far more impressive, a sophisticated, data-driven survival strategy. Animals bring their babies to us because they are world-class observers of human behavior. They have mapped our movements, memorized our faces, and tested our reactions. They have discovered that within the most dangerous predator on Earth, there is a glitch in the system, a caretaking instinct that can be triggered by the sight of a suffering infant. They are exploiting that glitch to save their bloodlines. The threshold is not a place of magic, it is a place of high-stakes negotiation. Every time a human reaches out to help a tangled calf or a sick kitten, the social contract is signed for another generation. We are the emergency exit for a world that is increasingly dangerous, and the animals are the ones brave enough to take the door. But we have to be careful with this conclusion. If we treat this behavior as a sign that nature is healing or that animals love us, we miss the point entirely. The fact that an animal has to turn to its primary predator for help is not a sign of a healthy ecosystem. It is a sign of a world in crisis. The threshold is only crossed when the wild world fails. A mother dolphin doesn't want to bring her calf to a boat. She wants to be in a clean ocean where her calf isn't tangled in the first place. A cat doesn't want to leave her kittens on a porch. She wants a safe, predator-free den. When we see these moments, we shouldn't just feel warm and fuzzy. We should feel the weight of the responsibility. We have become the stewards of their survival, whether we intended to or not. They have done their part of the investigation. They have found the safe haven. The question that remains is whether we will continue to be the entity they think we are. This brings our case to its final verdict. Why do animals bring babies to humans? Because they have no other choice, and we have proven, just often enough, that we will help. It is a bridge built of oxytocin, inherited memory, and the cold logic of triage. The threshold is a thin line, and on one side is the brutal reality of the natural world, where a single injury is a death sentence. On the other side is the human world, where tools, medicine, and a strange, leaky compassion offer a second chance. The animals have learned how to open the door. They have identified the magic hands and the safe spots. They have gambled their most precious assets on the hope that our better nature will win out over our predatory past. It is a stunning display of intelligence and a heartbreaking display of desperation. Every time the threshold is crossed, it is a testament to the fact that humans are the most unpredictable and powerful element in the lives of every other creature on this planet. But as we close the file on this mystery, we have to look at the cold, final reality of our position. We like to think of ourselves as the heroes of these stories, the kind strangers who save the day. But we have to remember why the emergency exit exists in the first place. In almost every one of these cases, the problem the animal is trying to solve was created by us. The fishing line that tangles the dolphin, the habitat loss that drives the cat to the porch, the climate change that dries up the elephant's watering hole, these are all human fingerprints on the crime scene. The animals are bringing their babies to us to fix the damage we caused. We aren't just the doctors in this scenario, we are also the ones who caused the accident. This is the ultimate wow fact of our investigation, the one that should change how you look at every wholesome animal video from now on. The trust they show us isn't a gift, it's a demand for accountability. They are holding up a mirror to our species and asking us if we are going to be the predator or the protector. The investigation is over, but the reality is just beginning. Every day, the threshold is being crossed by creatures that have every reason to run the other way. They are betting their lives and the lives of their children on the idea that we are better than our history suggests. They have filed their reports, they have done their scouting, and they have made their choice. They have identified you as a potential safe haven. They have recognized the power in your hands and the capacity for mercy in your brain. Now that the case is closed, there is only one question left to ask yourself the next time you see a wild animal watching you from the edge of the woods or the surface of the water. If that animal decided to cross the line today, if it decided to hand you the thing it loves most in the world, would you be the safe haven it's looking for, or would you be the reason it never trusts a human again? This mystery wasn't just about animal behavior. It was about us. We are the variable in the equation that determines whether a mother's gamble pays off or ends in tragedy. The animals have already done the hard work of overcoming millions of years of evolution to reach out to us. The bridge is built, the door is open, and the ledger is being updated every single day. We are the only species that gets to choose its role in the story. We can be the apex predator that the rest of the world fears, or we can be the one species that chooses to stand at the threshold and hold the door open for everything else. The choice is yours, and the rest of the planet is watching, waiting, and keeping notes. If you found this investigation into the emergency exit of the natural world fascinating, there are countless other mysteries hidden in the way animals perceive our species. We have only scratched the surface of the psychological bridge between the wild and the human world. What other behaviors have you seen that suggest animals are investigating us just as much as we investigate them? Let us know in the comments if you've ever had a wild encounter that felt like a test of the threshold. And if you want to keep exploring these deep dives into the hidden logic of the animal kingdom, consider subscribing to join our next investigation. There are millions of case files left to open. Here is the cold, undeniable truth to leave you with. You are the only creature on this planet that can look at a member of another species and decide that its life is more important than your own convenience. That is not a natural feeling. It is a biological anomaly that has turned you into the planet's involuntary guardian. The animals didn't choose you because you are kind. They chose you because you are the only thing left that can save them from the world you built. Every time a wild mother walks toward a human, she is gambling on the hope that your compassion is stronger than your greed. She is betting the future of her entire species on a version of you that doesn't always exist. You are the apex of a world that is broken, and to the creatures living in the cracks, You are the only God that ever answers their prayers. Sleep well knowing that right now, somewhere in the dark, an animal is watching you, updating your case file, and deciding if you are worth the risk.